the Supreme Court is upholding the EWS reservation, which is the reservation 10% quota in education institutes for the economically weaker sections of the society. The story is being brought to you, viewers, by Nisha Mathur, also Shrishti, my colleague who's inside the court. Nalini Sharma also tracking all of those details very closely. With Justice Pardiwala just saying that while upholding validity, I've thought fit to observe reservation is not end, but means to secure social justice. So a beginning has been made in terms of assuring quota for the economically weaker sections of the society. I'm going to go straight back to Anisha Mathur for what has been said by each of these judges while upholding 10% quota for poor. Anisha.
Well, yes, Neha, if you look at what has been read out so far, and as we speak, Justice Bhat is now reading out his part of the opinion. It is very clear that the Supreme Court is upholding the EWS reservation. It is a big win for the government. It is a big change for our country, as the Supreme Court has said that it is valid to have a purely economic criteria for reservation. But what is also interesting to note is that the judges have also made certain observations, certain hopes and opinions about the reservation system itself. What Justice Pardiwala in particular has said that it is necessary to take into a review the method of identification and determination of backward classes. Reservations should not be allowed to become a vested interest, and this is a very important point that is being made by Justice Pardiwala. Justice Bela Trivedi also has pointed out that the time span for reservation is something that needs to be looked into, that you cannot keep to the idea that the age-old caste system is the only was responsible for the reservation system itself, that historical injustice is the reason for creating a level playing field. Anglo-Indian reservation, she's raised an opinion about that Anglo-Indian reservation has ceased to exist through the 104th Amendment, and there could be a similar timeline provided for how long reservations can continue. So this means that the Supreme Court, while upholding this EWS reservation criteria, is also expressing the hope that reservation will not be something that goes on indefinitely. But at the moment, they have said that the EWS reservation cannot be struck down on the basis of constitutional principles. What is also important to note is that Justice Dinesh Maheshwari, in the opinion that he had read out, had said that this amendment does not breach the basic structure for excluding the socially and economically backward sections. And as we've been discussing, Sneha, we are going to have to read every nuance, every sentence of this judgment in detail and analyze this threadbare to find out exactly what this means. Of course, the basic news point at this moment and the basic point for the country right now is that the EWS quota has been upheld, that the government's argument that this is something for affirmative action, this is something for to uplift the poor population of the country, to ensure that everybody gets the equal opportunity to access jobs and education.
Justice Ravindra Bhat dissenting there, and while dissenting, Justice Bhat has said, I disagree with question 3. This court has for first time in 7 decades sanctioned a discriminatory principle. Anisha, take us through the details of what has been said by the dissenting judge here, and what does this really mean for the judgment per se? Does it mean anything at all?
Well, Sneha, at the moment, since it is a 4-1 verdict, which means that Chief Justice Lalit, Justice Dinesh Maheshwari, Justice Bela Trivedi and Justice Pardiwala have all concurred. So the EWS quota will remain upheld. This means that it is a big win for the central government, as the EWS quota will continue. What Justice Ravindra Bhat has said in his dissent, however, is also an important point for the country to consider as a principle when we are looking at the reservation system as such. And this is something that the other judges have also pointed out, whether there is something of a discriminatory principle. And I'm reading the update that my colleague Shrishti Ojha has sent from inside the courtroom. Justice Bhat in his dissent has made a very important point. This is the first first time in 7 decades that the court is sanctioning a discriminatory principle that language of exclusion undermines the basic structure, which is something that an argument was made that why is it that even if you are creating an EWS criteria, why is it that SC, ST, OBCs are being kept out of this 10% extra reservation that is being given right now to the economically backward sections. And therefore Justice Bhat is dissenting, but he is the lone dissent on the bench, which means that out of this 5-judge bench, 4:1 EWS quota has been upheld. The Supreme Court has given its stamp of approval to the 103rd Amendment, which means that state governments and at the central level, educational institutions and jobs will now have a 10% quota for economically backward sections, economically weaker sections. Now remember, the central government in its response to the court had very clearly said that there is a criteria, income criteria of 8 lakhs as a cutoff. So if a family's annual income is less than 8 lakh rupees, only then will they be able to access this 10% reservation in education and in government jobs. But the court has also made certain observations regarding the timeline and the extent to which reservations can be guaranteed. The court has expressed hope that there could be a classless, casteless society created in India at some point, and has questioned how long a timeline for reservations can be given. However, Justice Bhat, and we are still, he has just, as we are speaking right now, Sneha, Justice Bhat has just concluded his reading out his opinion, and he has said that the government is describing these as benefits, but it cannot be understood as a free pass for SC, ST, OBCs. This is a reparative mechanism, according to him, to have a level playing field, and which is why, according to Justice Bhat, the exclusion of SC, ST, OBCs from this 10% extra EWS quota violates basic structure because it discriminates the basic code of equality that is there in Article 14, 15 and 16. So very, very important observations are being made even in this dissenting verdict that has come out from Justice Bhat here. Justice Bhat here, but it is very clear that the Supreme Court is upholding the EWS criteria for reservations for economically backward sections, and this is a very, very